Hey, happy Sunday. Have I told you I hate technology? This is the take two of the report. Just, didn't, I don't know what happened to it. I finished speaking and it was gone. Okay. This week I want to talk about a continuation of what's changed in the last year due to COVID 19. And of course, I want to talk about supply and demand and some upcoming trips I'm taking. So, anybody that's been listening to me, I always said that Wall Street guys, they just put money into stupid things. Like I can know a retailer that they invested in that I knew was going to be a bust, and it was. And I know these meal kits, had it not been for the pandemic, they would have, all of them were going south and they were going bankrupt, but the pandemic kind of helped them out. I always say, Wall Street, if you want to, throw away millions of dollars, come to see me because I'll give you stuff that makes money. Okay, but a couple of things that changed in the pandemic. First of all, the food service guys, a lot of them that pivoted to home delivery to consumers. They did a great job. Some of the programs I really like, and I think they could be a major competitor of retailers going forward. Just like Amazon became a monster for all of us buying stuff online. I think the accessibility of just clicking and having produce delivered to your door, there's a lot of value there. Now, if they put value in the box and they're price conscious about it, that could be a very, very big factor going forward. Another one is organics. I think I wrote about this a couple of years ago. Organics was the next best thing for the last 20 years. But the pandemic, because of people wanting to eat healthy to kind of like fight the virus, it became, more prevalent. And that gets back to what I always say about telling a story. We have such a great story. Organics is part of that story. But it's a story that should have been told well before the virus. Instead of marketing to each other, we should be marketing to consumers. And that's one of the stories. Vitamins, trace elements, and the list goes on and on. Healthy eating, diet, exercise, helps you fight cancer, heart attacks. Just go down the list. You don't need me to tell you all about this stuff. So those are two things that you'd like to see. We already have the added consumption. We have organics. We have more internet sales. Even retailers captivated on that too. All the retailers, all their internet sales went through the roof. Again, we just condensed about 10 years worth of growth into 1 year in those areas. So the idea is, how do we keep it? And how do we keep it is by engaging consumers. So that is the biggest part of our industry, selling to consumers, retail, that's selling to consumers. Again, I just don't think retail, by and large, big retail does it the right way. I don't believe that contract pricing and retail go together. It's not a good system. And people always talk about sustainable agriculture and family farm and everything. Sustainable agriculture to a farmer is to be in business next year. And retailers wanting on a contract, let's say when the market's, let's say their contract is $15 and the market is $25, but they want all of their contract fulfilled at 15. The reason why the market's $25 is because there isn't enough. So that's what, and maybe they're giving away that item at a reduced price when they could have been making more profits, okay? Because their competition that's paying the $25 isn't as cheap as they are. And counter to that is when the market goes to $5 and they're on contract for $10 or $15, they can't keep up with the competition. And when the farmer needs them to take more, they're taking less. And again, farming is an end of year average business. Obviously, if something is $5, there is just take any commodity. If something is $5, there's usually a lot more volume than if it's $25, right? So $5 a lot more volume, $25 not so much volume. To make an average, you got to sell that stuff when it's $5 because if you dump it, everybody knows zero doesn't help an average, right? So again, I would argue that retailers to cut costs, 15, 20 years ago until present day, they have to force contracts because they don't have the talent to buy and sell produce, the way it's supposed to be done. That's my opinion, but I'd really, it's hopefully, I tell you, I really believe this. One large retailer does that system, goes back to supply. And let me say this: it doesn't have to be. I'm not saying you can't have a contract, but have a volume contract. So XYZ retailer goes to farmer. I want 15 loads a week of tomatoes, but it doesn't have to be at a contract price. How I would do it? Let's say the market's at the minimum. I would never be at the tomatoes, right? $8.30 is a minimum, which is another thing I hate. But let's say it's at the minimum, they pay $10. Let's say the market goes to $20 FOB, they pay $15. So they pay a range, but it's in a range that they could help the farmer and help the consumer when it's low, help themselves and help the farmer when it's high. Okay, Paulie Produce 101. I know a lot of you guys are much smarter than me that you skipped that class, but I took it a couple of times. Okay. I'll be going to next Tuesday, I'll be in Houston for a couple of days. Then I'm going to go to Gulfport, Mississippi for a couple of days. And if anybody along the way would like me to stop by, I'm going to drive so I could, I still don't want to go on a plane. I get sick. I got sick on the planes before COVID. And again, if I get COVID, Paul Maker gets COVID, you got it on video now, I'm going to beat it. Okay? That's all. I'm going to beat it. That's my positive attitude. So, okay, let's talk about a little bit about markets. Next week's Week of the Twos. You know how I feel about Week of the Twos. And I told you about the seven weeks when I was a speculator. I didn't speculate it. Last 2 weeks of January, last 2 weeks of February, week after Thanksgiving, last 2 weeks of August. Never speculated. Why? Because no matter how cheap you bought it, it was never cheap enough. So just take that to the bank. But the good news, after the Week of the Twos, we've got the week of beginning of the month. So hopefully that pans out. What really exacerbates the problem is the people that are, so next week will be the Week of the Twos. Retailers won't be doing any business. They'll be complaining, and they pull back on their buying. And the wholesalers do this too. And then they don't realize that after the Week of Twos, you're going to have the beginning of the month. And they pull back, and all of a sudden, boom, they get hit with business, and then it's like a flurry of business. So that's what I think is going to happen. So last few weeks, I told you the red pepper market. I don't like any item. Because of this economy, so many people are out of work. I don't like any high-priced items. I also said that when we have one box more of red peppers, the mark comes off significantly. We haven't reached that point, but I can tell you there was more reds available this week than there has in the previous 3 weeks. I also could tell you they are still very, very short. I've been doing this a long time. There are people that are supposed to have loads and loads now that are getting skids. There is definitely something going on. I don't know what it is yet. And they don't know what it is yet either. I mean, that cold temperature slowed it down, but then we had warm temperature that should have picked it right up, and it hasn't. So this may be the year of the red. This may be the year of peppers. So just be cognizant of that. Squash is the other item. I just think that depending on squash was anywhere from $12 to $20. $20 was just one guy, but again, it's a high-priced item. I don't think high-priced items have too much legs, And also, there's going to be more volume in squash the next week because the warm temperature returns. So I think that market's coming off. The two items I think are going up: cucumbers and eggplants. Cucumbers have been cheap. Eggplants have been cheap. I don't know. Maybe that maybe those are the items people were buying, but they're definitely they're cleaning up, and I think those two markets can be higher. Tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. Again, I hate the suspension agreement. You have a fictitious floor of the market, $8.30. There is no business at $8.30. For all of you people that are non-produce people, there are times, no matter how cheap an item is, nobody wants it. And then it's like magic. A week or two later, everybody wants it and the market will take off again. We're in that phase with Roma tomatoes right now. They went from, again, a couple of weeks ago, $20 FOB. Now they're in the tank. Which if you remember what I said last week about guys being on contract at those higher prices at $14, when now they're they loved it when the Roma tomato market was 20 FOB. They were on contract for 14. Now they're on contract for 14 and it's 8. Okay, that's what happens. They can't get any consumer. We need those consumers to step in. So if they sold them cheaper, like I'm a proponent of, maybe these markets wouldn't be in the tank so long. One guy's got to try it. I get one major retailer to try this for a year. I guarantee everybody else follows because otherwise you'll put them out of business. Okay. Hopefully we're going to get a little bit more stimulus. I'm not a big fan of the government taking care of everybody, but in this instance, people are hurting, and I think of really, a nice stimulus check. Here's what I hope would happen: the vaccine trajectory starts coming down. Let's say maybe March. People say no, but I'm hoping come down in March. Hopefully, we get enough stimulus and not, give Americans the $2,000 and don't give the freaking foreigners all that money, okay? Not a political statement, that's an American statement. So hopefully we get people get $2,000 checks, right? And the vaccine, and hopefully they meet somewhere like down the road where people now can get back to work and people get better, and hopefully we could start rebuilding our economy and our country again. So that's my hope. I just don't think this is going to be a quick fix. I don't think next year everything's like rosy again. I just it took us a while to get that economy that we had a few years ago, and I hope it comes sooner rather than later. But I don't think it's going to be a quick fix. And that's it. So this was round 2. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything, but chances are I did, like as usual. Love you. Oh, I'm in the top 10 influencers in Packer again. I started this trying to help one person. Anybody that knows me, if you've called me, I'll spend hours on the phone with people trying to help them. I don't do this for myself. I do this to try to share my knowledge, my experience with everyone. Anyone that wants it, it comes free of charge. I expect nothing in return. So if anyone's out there that needs help, I'm more than happy to help you. I just that's all I got to say. That I'm happy that the Hunts Point market strike is over. So hopefully the biggest terminal market in the world will rock it next week. Okay? Love you. Love the produce business. Take care. If you need me, call me. Take care. Bye.